All right, today we're going to go over some men's physique posing. A lot of questions and a lot of inquiries that I get are even from athletes that are not on the team about posing, presentational skills. I've seen a lot of great physiques come on stage and they don't know how to present it well. Well, today we're going to go over some men's physique posing. We're going to go over transitions and actually go over what judges are kind of looking for and how smooth we can make transitions. A lot of times it's not overall the body, it's about how we present it on stage. So today, to kind of get a lot of answers or questions answered, we're going to go over some transitional elements and also some footwork. A lot of times posing comes from the ground up and we want to be able to present that as so. Clean lines, being real charismatic and being confident on stage. A lot of times that you see great posers, they're practiced. They practice day in and day out. They're perfecting the craft. So if that's something that we can come across today as being diligent about perfecting the craft, I think we've accomplished a lot. So that's another element that I deal with a lot is just straight posing with clients, no matter if it's bikini clients, classic physique, men's physique, figure. I deal with all types of walk, whether it's in person or Skypes, things like that. I'd like to be able to help wherever I can. So a couple different things, like element-wise, as far as you have two different tempos. When you generally pose, getting in like a one pose, you want to keep that same tempo. Like a lot of a sudden you'll stop and then that last bit you go.
I'll gather and
you kind of fall. Okay. Like you fall into a lot of poses as opposed to placing yourself.
Okay.
So where it looks like you're about to like finish it really crisp and really nice, and all of a sudden it gets really shitty. All right, it just gets sloppy. You know, like it looks off the ending point.
Okay.
All right, so like getting it to where you're starting is matching your ending point. So where you're placing yourself into the pose. Like when you walk out, you get real stiff in your legs, give a little bend to it a little bit. Like you're so locked out here in your hips, it makes this kind of look like you're just trying to push your hips down. So what's happening is you don't have any symmetry from your lower to your upper at this point. So it kind of looks like you're just kind of standing here trying to push into it. All right, so maybe give a little bend into it, into where you're stepping in and just kind of almost stepping into it. So you have a little bend in that leg that you're putting most of your pressure on. All right. Also, when you're coming around and you're trying to hit that back pose, like that staggered.
I don't like that back pose at all.
Your elbow comes up. So a lot of times what I'm seeing is you'll think about, huh?
Am I serving?
Well, however, when you, and this goes for a lot of other novice competitors too, they think that the further away and the higher their elbows get from their body, you have more, the wider, the more activation you get. Right. So a lot of times you'll see those competitors with back poses, and we're here. I'm fully expanded, right? So here, but as opposed now, what happens is they'll lift up their elbows, and it releases. Okay. So when you were in that transition and you tried to hit like that staggered pose, and you were here, and then you kind of went there, and so instead of just keeping yourself right here and like leaning into it, you lift that elbow and you try to pull back. So you got really narrow where you should have been wide, and then come back into it, okay, into your back pose.
That's nice.
Okay, so you're keeping your hands a little bit more compact, but not throwing your hands out there. I know you're trying to give a little flare, you know, with something like that, breaking out, but make sure that you get your placement back into it when you bring down your arms. So there, right there. Now, so you can still, if you're still high, bring it back down. There's nothing wrong with you coming out like this, and then picking it back up and throwing it out. Okay? And now also in your back pose, remember, create some music back there. All right? Don't get so stiff where you're only like pulling back halfway.
Okay.
All right? So think about pulling back. When you come into it, you just kind of went, all right? You're not really getting a lot of activation throughout the back. So think about when you're posing, build that pose from the foundation up, from the bottom up. Okay? You get your feet. Yep. Start at the bottom, pull through all the way, then open. All right, and you can even come out and give it a little flare like that if you wanted to do. But just remember, retract all the way. So get those elbows as far back as you can. Pull back, pull, 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 pull. There you go. Now you're starting to get a little bit more of a Christmas tree. All right, now, try not to get to where you're sitting on your hip. You can still sit on your hip this way, but don't fall into it. All right, so if you want to sit, just stay 50-50 for this pose here. Pull through it. Good, much better. Pull all the way through. Elbows all the way back to the mirrors, harder. Good, now open. Good. All right, so you're creating a little bit more music right in through here. All right. Before you were just kind of moving around and you really didn't see a lot of the accessories. All right, transition. All right, now instead of the whole collage of this pose, when you lean over to your right and you hit that pose like that, all right, look over. So your hand is on your left hip. All right, so look over. So you're kind of looking over. Don't just stay. So it gives a little bit more.
Right, more music.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You're putting, exactly. You're turning. So let's go ahead and let's hit that. There you go. Good. Now, how are you going to transition out of this?
So I'm here.
So you're already there. You're already turning that way.
Just go ahead and roll into it.
So what I would do to keep it simple and keep everything here, all right, there. All right, let's just break it. You can either come this way, off the hand. Okay, so your hand is now off the hip.
Okay.
Back into it.
Ooh, that's nice.
Okay.
That's nice. So we're here. Here.
Yep, now throw out your lat. There you go. Good. Good. Chest up. Good. Right there. Good. Now, drop step with your right foot back, straight back, and turn into your front pose. There you go. Good.
Here?
Nope, you could stay right here on this side.
Right. It's
into that side.
more so it was like here.
Yep. So with that transition, so you're drop stepping back, you can drop step all the way back into if this is your dominant hip, drop step all the way back into that. That way you're not taking 3 and 4 steps. Remember, the less steps you take, the smoother everything looks. Don't high kick, no high stepping. All right, so what you're doing is you went from a real horizontal move to all of a sudden you're doing something like this.
Right, a roll.
It's like you got like in music, yeah, there you go. So now you're smoother.
Okay. And really it's just...
Yep, right there.
Okay.
So you're basically just drop stepping back into it. Just like if you're a football player, all right, you're drop stepping to change directions. Now, with that being said, it looks like you're thinking about it, but I think from when we posed about a year ago, you're going to forget a lot of this. So break it down into 90s, okay? You're trying to take yourself,
Quarters.
Yep, quarters. All right, so take it where if you're turning, so now you're already 90 degrees. Take it here to where you're hitting a pose there. All right, so if you're hitting this side, then switch back into that pose. All right, that's the disconnect, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get all the way
around
over.
in one movement.
In one movement. Unless it's really smooth for you and you can do it, but there's a hitch in your movement there. Yep, turn.
You really just do this.
Yep, that's it.
Like you just step back.
And stop right there. Keep your hips right there. Do not move. Just transition back into left foot has most of the weight now. And back in your front pose. Turn your hips. Open it up. Nope. Your left foot will have most of the weight.
Oh,
Because you're here. Because you went from here, boom, transition, back into this.
wow. Okay.
Okay? Remember, precision footwork leads to a smooth routine.
Which is what it is.
Mhm.
A lot of
Footwork.
people have a lot of empty.
If you have a lot of stepping, it's like step, step,
disjointed.
step. Like if you're having to fidget with your feet, you know, a lot of times it's displaying that you're uncomfortable, you know, and like you're still trying to find your footing. When you can't find your footing and that foundation isn't there, the settlement up top looks off. So it's like if the foundation's off, I don't care how great the upper body looks, it's going to look slightly off, right? So set that. Even if you're hitting that dead-on front shot, get those legs set, build into it, and really grow into that pose, okay? And set into it. Because what happens if you have a narrow stance, it makes everything kind of look off, right? So you want to think about balance from the bottom up. Knees right below your shoulders, balance, pull it through. Yep, everything. Even when you think about posing, think about splitting your chin down the center of your body when you're hitting poses.
Alignment.
Yep, alignment. So when you come into that pose, All right, everything from your upper body, a lot of times you'll see guys that kind of slouch. What happens is when I'm here, right, my chin is split in the center of my body, but what happens is this. Now it looks off, right?
Right.
All right, so if you're thinking about that and you're paying attention and you're posing, think about that chin splitting down. Exactly, right on down the line.
So the symmetry is...
Symmetry. You know, a lot of times, and you'll see it too, it's not the biggest guy that wins, it's the most symmetrical.
Yeah.
You know, and how flowing can you be? You're not able to speak on stage. Everything you create is through body language. So what are you explaining to the judges? What are you explaining to the audience? Body language. Okay?